Good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday Lyceum. I'm Geo Louis, and before we get started, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. Today we have a workshop, Spiritual Healing, Making the Connection with Spirit, with Reverend Claire Van Cott and Claire Whalen. And it's going to be right here in our Andrew Jackson Davis building. It is Attuning Ethics of Healing, Healing Hands, Sensing Energy, Proper Position, Distant Healing. All levels welcome, and it is $25. So if you're able to make it, please come on out for that. Hello, everyone in Cyberland. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to move a little bit over here. All right. Well, first, I just want to say it is an honor to just be standing here. Just thinking about the history of all the people that have come before. You know, Cassadaga has been here for 127 years. And you think about all the people that have stood here and talked about spiritualism, talked about the philosophy and so forth. It's kind of humbling and nerve-wracking at the same time. So I'm just very thankful and honored to be able to stand here today and share a little bit about meditation. So a little bit about me. I've been a spiritual practitioner and meditation teacher for about 15 years. 6 of those years I was a Buddhist monk in the Tibetan tradition and the Drikung Kagyu lineage. So I think most people know the Dalai Lama, and then there's also the Karmapa, which is another lineage. So it's kind of a smaller school of that tradition. And now I primarily work with clients with relaxation therapy. A few years back, my mom had called me and said, listen, I'm going to this place called Cassadaga. I don't know if you know about it, but you like all this spiritual stuff. And I'm going to go in and do a reading with someone. And she was nervous. She's like, I don't know, you think this is a good idea? And I'm like, Mom, everything's a good idea. And she's the person that, I don't know if you're watching, she's the one that's always brought me to where I had to be. She took me to my first Buddhist temple. She's like, oh, you like all this meditation stuff. Why don't you come check this out? I became a monk. So she came, she had a reading here at the camp. She stayed at Ann Stevens. She did the orb tour. She went nuts. And she called and said it was a great experience, you know, when you come to visit. I was living in California at the time. I'm going to take you there, and you're going to love it. I said, Mom, I'm never coming back to Florida. I'm a Californian. I'm probably going to stay and die up here. Well, COVID hit, and before that, I actually came to visit my mom after 7 years. And I was just having a rough time, and, you know, she missed me. The family missed me. And she's like, all right, let's go to this Cassadaga place. So she brought me here. We went down to the pond. I did some meditation. I met a few people, and I said, you know, if I ever do come back, I want to come and live in Cassadaga. I want to work here. I like the people here. I like the vibe. But it won't happen. When COVID hit, I had to move from California about early last year or mid last year. Came here, started working with the camp, volunteering, and now here I am a member and going to be moving into the camp this week. So you never know how Spirit is going to guide you to where you need to be. So it's good to be alert and aware, because sometimes the signs are all around us and we miss out. And that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today regarding meditation. Because meditation, sometimes I think people get scared when they hear the word meditation. They're like, ooh, I can't do that. You know, I watch the yogis do it in India, and they sit for hours under a tree in a cave, and it's just too much. Especially with the pressures we have today. You know, some people have families and jobs, and you know, it's just very hectic. But in reality, meditation can be something very simple, very easy, something down to earth. It doesn't have to be too complicated or too difficult to do. And it's not really hard work. I think sometimes we just think it might be too hard to try to sit. But I'm going to talk about different forms of meditation that you can use yourself and see if they work for you. You don't have to be like the Zen Buddhists who sit for many hours and, you know, just stay in the blissful state. So before we start, I wanted to read something that one of my mentors shared me in his book. And he was one person who taught me that the word Zen, the calligraphy for the word Zen was 2 different characters that meant to show oneness. And what he meant by that was it was to be one with the moment. And that's really all meditation is developing that moment, that non-dualistic moment, that blissful moment, harmonious moment that we can carry out throughout the day. So it's not just when we sit and meditate, but it's when we go out through life. And this way we can hear guidance. We can see the signs kind of coming at us, so we're not so shocked when things happen. And so his name was Reverend Geo Louis. He was one of my teachers. And he writes this about meditation. Meditation means serenity in life. Many people think that meditation is to sit cross-legged. That is only a small part of meditation. Nor is just being quiet necessarily serenity. For instance, when a person gets angry and decides not to talk, externally it may seem quiet, but internally it is not quiet at all. True serenity is dynamic, like a generator revolving at all speeds of thousands of revolutions per minute. Very stable, very quiet, very dynamic. In our life, the serenity of meditation is not simple quietude, but a real strength that comes deep from within. When it is expressed as quietness, it is deep and serene. When it is expressed as action, it is dynamic and harmonious. To maintain this serenity of mind is central to our lives, for it enables us to see clearly the truth of life. If a pail of water is still and serene, the surface will reflect the moon. But if the pail is unsteady and the surface is not still, there will be no reflection. Our minds, when we are serene, are able to reflect the truth about life and all things. When we are upset, we cannot see clearly the truth of ourselves or others. When our minds are disturbed, as in anger or disgust, even a small stone on the road seems to frustrate us. And that was a key thing for me, because you know how many times something happens, you think it's that thing, and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, it's not your fault, it's really me. We kick it in anger, whereas the stone is faultless, and we are only reflecting our own distorted mind. A calm mind makes the greatest difference in the way we live. The right kind of serenity is essential to our lives, and this we call meditation. So this is something that really stuck with me, because I learned that, having some kind of practice of just calming my mind and instilling it can help me live a better life. I can see all the things around me and actually develop more gratitude, because in this sense, I'm happy when the challenges come, because I can learn from them, I can grow from them, and they're no longer challenges or obstacles. They're things that I can then write in my journal and say, yes, I did this, I triumphed over this. And especially here in Cassadaga, when we're working with spiritualist healing and mediumship, one of the things they teach us really is to get in that state of calm and serenity, to feel the healing energies come in, so we can be better healers, be better mediums, and allow the energies to flow. And one thing I like is that meditation has also been proven by medical science to be beneficial. And I found this quote by the Mayo Clinic, which I really liked. Research has found that meditation may help reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. When combined with conventional medicine, meditation may improve physical health. For example, some research suggests meditation can help manage symptoms of conditions such as insomnia, heart disease, pain, cancer, and digestive problems. And so we know that there's benefits from it, but what can we do? Do we just sit and just don't think? No. We can do fun things, activities. We don't have to make it a chore. And I think I hear a lot of people say that, oh, I just feel like I have to meditate. One teacher always said there are no shoulds and there are no haves to. It's really what feels comfortable to you. So one thing you can do is just try different things and see which works for you. So before we do this, I want to do just a quick and brief meditation. And this is the first one that I learned. It's the most basic. You could do it anywhere. I used to teach this all the time. It's something that I used to joke and say, this is the best one to do at Walmart when you're in that huge line. You got 2 kids with you and everyone's yelling. You can do this. It's very simple. It's nothing hard to do. So just kind of sit, relax, kind of settle in. And before we start, we're just going to do one quick cleansing breath. Just inhale and exhale. And just release everything out. And what we're really just going to do is we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Okay, so we're going to start with the first one. We're going to take a deep breath. Okay, expanding our bellies, just bringing it all the way out. Hold for 1 second. Release. And the second time, just deep breath. All the way down. Hold for a second. Release. And the third one, deep, bringing out the tummy. Hold and release. See? There you go. That's meditation. You know? Now, of course, if you're in the store, you don't want to tell yourself, okay, breathe in, hold, hang, because people are going to look at you. You're like, what's wrong with this person? But you see what I'm saying? You could just stop, just take 3 deep breaths, being aware of the oxygen, filling in the lungs. You know, a lot of times they say that we get fatigued because we only use the top portion of our lungs. So it's really getting all that oxygen all the way down. And as that oxygen flows through the body, it flows through our mind, it really cleanses us and it gives us a moment to just pause. And a lot of teachers have said this. One of the reasons that we tend to get agitated or have anxiety or suffer is because we're either thinking too much about what's going on in the future. You know, I got to think about laundry, I got to think about the kids, I got bills, I got blah, 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 blah. Oh my goodness. You know, it's like your heart rate just goes up thinking about these things. Or we're stuck in the past. Oh, did I say something? Did I leave the iron on? So by breathing, we could just come back to the moment. Just fix what's happening right now. And that's really what meditation helps us do, is come back to this right now. Everything changes. Everything's, you know, in constant flux. So if we just kind of go with that flux, we'll start to see, okay, I can work with these things better. Most meditations are based on the breath meditation. This is like the most basic, which is just sitting and following the breath. You just kind of sit comfortably on a chair. You don't have to sit on a mat or on the. Like, I get that question: do I have to get a special mat? Do I have to get a No. Just sit on the chair. Sit on the chair. Sit on the floor, wherever is comfortable for you. Just sit and just focus on the breathing, in and out. Just follow the breath. Just kind of focus on the tip. You don't even have to close your eyes, because some people say, well, if I close my eyes, I get lethargic, I get tired. But really, just keep your eyes open if you need to. Just a little bit where you can see the tip of your nose, and just follow the breath in and out. And you'll notice that you start to mix with the breath. The mind is no longer out here or over there. The mind and the body and the breath have become one. And you start realizing, oh, the worries are gone. They're not really there because your mind's not agitated. And again, it's about coming back to our awareness, calming our mind, developing that harmony, and taking that harmony with us wherever we go. So sitting down is not the only way to. You can also do walking meditation. This is really big. At one of the temples that I started in, we used to do this every morning. Thich Nhat Hanh actually has some really good video of footage of him, and he teaches this in his temples, and it's just taking a mindful step, just 1 foot at a time, taking a step, and so you can combine the breathing and the walking. And the fun thing about this, because I find myself doing this, is you take this wherever you go. You know, if you notice if you're running too fast, you just stop. Just take 1 step at a time, breathe, step. And he adds things like thinking, I breathe in, I am joy. I breathe in, I am calm. So that way you can also, you know, keep it moving. If you're someone who can't sit still, because I was very hyperactive as a kid, my parents were so shocked the first time they saw me sitting with other monks. They're like, who is that? That kid, we had to like strap him down because he was running around all the time. And so it's just practice, you know, just practicing, keeping the mind calm and doing little things that help you, you know, go along the way. Take a meditation walk. Cassadaga is a great place to just even starting, you know, go to the bookstore, check it out, great. And just kind of walking down Stevens Street, you know, taking a brisk walk, looking at the buildings, being aware where you are at that moment, and just enjoying it. Also, you can do just basic jogging. You know, when you go for a jog, be mindful that you're jogging. Be mindful that you're out, that you're getting fresh air. And that's all really, those are really good ways of doing things where if you just can't sit still. Another way is to do, looking at a specific image or a flower. You know, people wonder why Buddhists have so many different statues, because they all represent different mental energies. And we just kind of focus. You look on them, you focus on them, and you try to almost emulate the energy that they're producing. So if it's calm and stillness, you want to kind of have that image in your mind. So these are kind of like the most basic forms of meditation. Then we have active meditation. This is something that a lot of people don't realize they do. Gardening. One of my teachers, that was his thing. He loved to get his hands in dirt. That was his meditation. To feel the soil. I mean, the way he described it made me want to start gardening. I failed miserably, but I get the point. He would just get in, and he said, I could feel the dirt as I'm churning the dirt. When I'm planting the seed, I'm one with that seed. I mean, it was beautiful the way he described it, which I was like, wow, I wish I could do that. Gardening is one. Being 100% with that moment. There was a lady one time, she came to one of my classes and she's like, I learned to meditate. I was like, awesome. What did you do? I was cooking. I was like, oh, okay. And she explained her process. She had her pot ready. She was making some kind of stew. And she would start with the meat. And then she did it so gentle. One thing at a time, she was saying. It's like, I had one spice. Did it. Put it down. Taste. And I was like, that's it. That's meditation. Another lady I remember, she would say, oh, yes, you know what? I figured out the best time to meditate because I have kids. When I do laundry. She says, I put the laundry dirty. I look at it. And I look at the grass stains on my kids' pants. And I don't get angry anymore. I'm excited because I know they're playing and they're healthy. And so she's aware of all this and being grateful that she's doing laundry. Before she would come in saying, oh my God, I have like 30 loads of laundry. I hate it. These kids are just dirty. But now she was taking appreciation. So she turned her active meditation into appreciation. And then she said, when I'm folding the clothes, she would fold it. And then she, sometimes we use incense or other things like candles to focus on. She would use the Febreze detergent or something that she said every time she folded clothes, she would smell the clothes and fold it. So she turned that into a meditation. I can't do that with clothes. I'm terrible with laundry anyways. But silent meditation is another one that people do. It's just where you're completely quiet. There's nothing going on. You just sit, breathe, and just focus on being in that moment. That's the one that's a little more harder because unless you're in the right environment and have that conducive, everybody's quiet, the world is silent, you got that monkey mind coming out in all phases because when you try to sit still, that's when it comes. It's like it's the weirdest thing. You're like, okay, I'm going to sit down, meditate. The monkey just comes out and says, no. There's no such thing as meditation. So you got to reel that monkey in. And there's also tools. So I brought a few things that I've used in the past that have helped as well if I get too chaotic. One thing you see, for example, in if you watch movies about the Dalai Lama or people in Tibet, you find that they have bells and drums. And it's really nothing otherworldly. So some people will see when we used to do rituals, like, wow, what are they doing? How are they meditating through that? But these are just tools that we use, hand tools to keep our body, our mind together in oneness. So you would use instruments to not, it was not just to keep the focus, but to raise the energy during the meditation. So that's something that I always like to share because some people are like, oh, are they doing magic? No, it's actually just a rhythm that you would use, and you can hear at the end. Usually when they finish the ceremony, the bell ends, and you follow the sound of the bell. And we're going to do a little meditation with that in a second. So you can use tools. Japanese calligraphers, when they do those giant calligraphy, that's what they're doing. That's their tool. They're using that. They become one. I met another teacher who he would just do these drawings and just lose himself with the brush. And when you asked him, what does it feel like? What are you doing? He's like, me and the brush become one. I am the brush. I am the ink. I am the paper. And he would draw this amazing calligraphy. And that was his meditation. Mantra meditation. This is another one that also is useful if you can't keep, your awareness, is using a mantra. A lot of people have heard Om Mani Padme Hum. This is one that's very universal. Lisa Simpson chanted it on The Simpsons, which I thought was kind of cute. When Homer was kind of giving her like trouble, she'd be like, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Cute little episode. But it's a universal mantra. It's become used in many different traditions. It's known as the mantra of Kuan Yin. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is another big one that became very popular. It's been in movies. Tina Turner, who was someone that I grew up in my family. We always had Tina Turner playing. I remember Thunderdome was one of my favorite movies with her in it. She always talked about this mantra, how she used it as a meditation. Whenever she'd get a little bit excited, or in her earlier days, she would be chanting it, just kind of hold her hands, and it would give her power, give her moment, that energy of the moment. But you can use something that you make up. One that I like that I use for myself is, I am one with spirit, I am at peace. And I use what are known as a mala, which is just kind of meditation beads, just to sometimes to keep count, but it's really to keep my body, because, your mind can be calm, but the body's like, I want to do something else. So you can hold the body still by just I am one with spirit. I am at peace. I am one with spirit. I am at peace. So you see a lot of people nowadays, they kind of just wrap them around their arms and carry it with them. And that's what it's for. I usually keep some with me just to remind myself of my mantras, to keep myself calm and meditative. A lot of people have heard Om Shanti. That's another very popular one. Om Shanti Om. That's for bringing in inner peace. Or just even Om alone. Transcendental meditation, TM, was another technique that came to the U.S. That one is a silent mantra we say inwardly, but that also requires a little more kind of research and having a teacher really kind of guide you through that. Visualization. There's another. This is an example of an image that I've used in the past. This is known as the Buddha of Compassion. But in one technique that I learned was, and this could be with anything, it could be an image of a sunflower, it could be an image of Jesus, it could be an image of whatever gives you inspiration. And the idea is just to sit with the image and just look at it and try to see if you can see that image in your mind. This to me represents wisdom and compassion. So I'm really meditating on wisdom and compassion and trying to develop those qualities in myself. Eventually, the goal is that you don't even need the image anymore. Anywhere you go, when you're kind of stirred up, you just kind of shut your eyes for a moment and you see that image in your mind and you realize, this is my mind. I am wisdom and compassion. And so we try to develop some of these little ideas to work with in daily life. Prayer meditation. I was raised Catholic, and I remember, it's funny because we always used to have the beads, the rosary, and later on in life I said, wait, that's just kind of like meditation. Look, I'll be honest, I was a pretty bad kid in school. I went to Catholic school, so I was always being told, you need 10 Hail Marys, you need 10 Our Fathers, you got to do a lot of this stuff. So I learned how to use a bead to keep count. So it's very similar. And my grandma was someone that actually taught me that. I would see her and she would have a rosary, and so I would join her, which is very similar. Our prayers, when we wake up in the morning, if we do prayers, that's a form of meditation. We're being mindful, we're being aware of setting an intention. At the end of night, before we go to sleep, again, setting an intention with a prayer, that's meditation. Guided meditation, we do that here on Sundays with our Sunday service. Some of our other services, we also include a little bit of a healing meditation. We have our Thursday healing meditation as well. That's a great way to get into that peaceful state, allowing someone to guide us, get us into that healing state. You can find a lot of these on YouTube as well, and they help. Music. One of the things about your meditation is it's going to change. I was somebody that could sit 45 minutes, perfect, nothing, bliss, nirvana. Then I moved to Los Angeles, and I developed something known as misophonia. I could hear everything. It's like I could hear the neighbor upstairs. I could hear the child 3 blocks down the street. I could hear it develops anxiety. So some sounds will kind of trigger me into a state of anxiety. And all my years of practice, I'm like, what's going on? Why isn't this helping? So your meditation is going to change. One moment you can do the sitting in silence. The next day you move into a town that's just really rowdy. Thank goodness. $20 on Amazon. They were sound reduction headphones. So now these are like my to-go. This is really what I use on a daily basis now. Because as the world got loud for me, I was able to tune it out and listen to music that allowed me to relax and get into that peaceful state. And I just listen to the music. Some of them have frequencies that help the different brainwave patterns to calm down, relax. So it's going to change. One day you're good at one thing. The next day my advice is be practical. Sometimes people think, I'm just going to do this and I'm just going to sit here until I become an enlightened being. That never worked for anyone. And all the great spiritual masters always said, you do what you can. Do what you can do. Be honest with yourself. Be practical. If painting is your thing, paint. If it's gardening, garden. If you can sit, sit. But the idea is to be practical, find a place, sit. If you like to go to nature, like I said, going to Spirit Pond and meditating. One of the first times I came here, I was staying in the hotel and I woke up really early. It was like 7 in the morning. It was just quiet, beautiful, and peaceful. And I just sat in a bench by the pond. And I didn't even intend to meditate, but you just sit there and you just look at the pond. You listen to the birds. You just become one with that serene nature. And that's meditation. So you see now that it's really easier than most people put it. I want to do one quick meditation, another one really, that is a sound meditation, which you can use as well. And this is just basically following the sound of the bell. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to strike it 3 times, and as the sound goes, just follow it to wherever it goes. So we'll start just with just a cleansing breath again, to just clear the mind. There's a deep breath and exhale. Okay, and then I'm going to strike the bell and just follow the sound. Okay, so this is another example of why you can, how you can use something like a bell. Many of you probably know about the singing bells, or also known as the Tibetan singing bowls. It's the very same idea. They would strike the bell with a specific frequency, and the goal is to listen and resonate with that sound. So most of them go with a specific chakra point, and you would hear the striking of the sound, and you kind of listen to it, and it does what it needs to do. So that's another reason why you see a lot of bells sometimes in meditation centers, is to help to clear out. I actually just found a really cool study. They say that a lot of these forms of meditation where you're listening to the sound of the bell going down helps to reduce anxiety and blood pressure. So now they've started using these techniques in hospitals before patients have to go into surgery. They say, listen, just listen to the bell. Just focus on that. Don't worry about the procedure. Don't worry about what's going on. Just listen to the sound and let yourself flow with it. So that's something else that you can use to help you, again, relax. But the idea is to make it a habit. So the more you make it a habit, the more this is a practice you do on a daily basis, the more it becomes a part of your life. You're no longer like, ooh, I forgot to meditate. So the idea, again, is figure out what's best for you. What's the best time? Most people say meditation in the morning. Your mind is fresh and clear. That's the best time. That's when I like to do it. But if it isn't, you got to send the kids off to school. Okay, maybe once the kids get out, go to school. If it's before going to work. I used to teach a lot of clients before they get into work, or once they get to their cubicle, wherever it is, just take a moment, put your hands on your desk or on your lap, do your 3 deep breaths, and just put your hands together and say, okay, I'm ready. And then start your day off. So you don't have to make yourself sit for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You don't have to try to be like Master Yoda. He's great, but you don't have to sit there that long. And encourage yourself. That's the important part. Some people don't give themselves the encouragement. You start with a minute. Okay, a few days later, oh, I'm at 5 minutes. Write it down. Journaling is another great form of meditation. At the end of the day, I love to go home and I just go. So far, I've got about 26 journals that I have been carrying. Every year, I start a new one on my birthday. So after an activity, go home, relax, and then I write down, oh, I did this. I can't believe I did this. Well, this was exciting. And so journaling also allows us to release all of that tension as well. So if we're having a tough day, we come home, just write it out. And you'll see how much you feel better because you're letting it out as well. And like I said earlier, you go with the changes. If one day you can do 45 minutes, the next day you do 5 minutes. That's happened to me a lot recently. I usually can try to do a long hour meditation, but with so many different things happening, I'm like, okay, I'm lucky if I get 5 now. Or if not, I try to find, in between the things that I'm doing, where can I fit in 5 minutes or 2 minutes? Or even just step outside and do my 3 deep breaths. The other thing is your home, your spot. This is my favorite word that one of my teachers taught me. Spot, special place of tranquility. Pick a place at home. In LA, this is funny because it reminds me of Harry Potter. We had this little tiny apartment, and if you know Los Angeles, the apartments are kind of small and barely have room, but we had a closet, which is weird. The apartment is tiny, but the closets are huge. Go figure. So I turned my closet into a small little meditation space. I was able to close the door behind me, sit there. I had my image. I would light an incense and my candle, and I would just sit and meditate. And thankfully, it was able to close off the sound and the noise. So find a special place. Maybe you have a little special room. My mom, who does a lot of sewing, that's her meditation. She made a whole little sewing room where she goes and she sews and she gets into it. She becomes one with that activity. So now what I like to do is we're going to do just another brief meditation, and this one is kind of combining what we've done with a little more visualization. So go ahead and we'll get settled, and just kind of close your eyes again. And we're going to start with the 3 deep breaths. Inhale and expand. Hold and release. Inhale, really taking in all that oxygen. Hold for a second and release. And one more. Deep breath, opening up the lungs. Hold for a second. Release. Okay. And keeping our eyes closed, I'm going to ring the bell again just to follow the sound of the bell. Okay, now that our minds are settled, inside your mind, just picture an open blue sky. Okay, just take a moment, don't strain yourself, just see the blue sky. Just focus on the color blue, being expansive like the sky and open. And if a random thought comes into the mind, don't fight it. Just see it. See it as a puffy white cloud just flowing across the blue sky. If there's any tension, any worries, just imagine it as a cloud. And it just passes by. And just keep focusing all your awareness or your attention on that color blue. Coming back to that state of awareness. And as you see the blue sky, just vast, boundless, infinite like space, and you're looking at it, just realize this is your mind. Your mind is infinite as the sky. And again, if thoughts come through, it's okay. Let them come through. Just like clouds, they come through. Just see them passing by. And you can remember this. Remind yourself, anytime something comes up, a worry, a doubt, a fear, it's just a passing cloud going through the sky. And just enjoy the peace of visualizing blue sky. And as you focus, let that blue sky, that stillness, just heal you. Become one with that healing color, with that open vastness. No worries, no tension, no fears. Just infinite mind. And if you need to, focus on your breath as you see the sky, just breathing in. Nothing but positivity. Exhaling that positivity out to the world. And whatever emotions arise, just see them. You can see them as a cloud passing by, whether they're good or bad. Just let them pass by. And now as we see the sky, we're going to take 3 deep breaths, remembering at all times in our mind is just as vast as the sky, and we can always come back to this visualization when we need it most. So we'll start with 1 deep breath. Inhaling, holding, and exhaling. And our second breath, inhaling, opening up the lungs, holding, and exhaling. And we'll take 1 more deep breath, expanding our chest, holding it for a second, and exhaling. And now we're just gently opening our eyes, coming back, returning back to the building, and being here in this present moment. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And now you always have this image wherever you go. If you go somewhere like, for me, like Walmart is a very tense place, I always just go back to the blue sky and just see everybody as puffy clouds kind of passing by. And this is something you can use on a daily basis. Just worries of the day, see them like clouds. I had one teacher said, see the clouds as images. If it's anger, maybe see it as like a dark cloud. If it's a worry or tension, even good moments. The goal is not to be too attached to good or the bad, because sometimes we love the good, we hate the bad. It's like I'll hold on to the good stuff, but I'll let go of the bad stuff. But ultimately, to have a harmonious life is that balance. So we can see the clouds either way. You know, ooh, I'm excited, I won the lotto. Okay, cloud, I see it. Okay, it's a puffy cloud. And come back to that neutral, harmonious state. Okay, so see, you guys got in 3 meditations. Before we end, are there any questions? Yes.
What is that bell that you use? What's that made of? Is it glass or metal?
This one? No, it is what is it called? It's like a gong bell, Japanese.
Oh.
It's hand pounded or yeah. Hammered brass, yes. But I love the sound. Like, it just has a very... I use it at home all the time, especially like if there's a lot of tension. I was like, let it go. And it's very cleansing. I believe, a lot of people believe also that sound can remove a lot of that negative energy. Some people use a smudge stick. I love sound because it just reverberates and it pushes that energy right out where it needs to be cleansed.
I'm going to get one. I have 3 granddaughters. Littles. So I'm going
Well, you know, they actually have little ones for children. I gave one to my niece because I taught her this. She's very hyperactive as well. Go figure, family. So I got her a little one. They had a little tiny brass one with a little striker. Oh my goodness, my sister would she'll strike. I mean, at first it was like ding, 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 ding. She's like, thank you, Geo, for giving her that. But she started just sitting, and she says now that she does wishes, because she doesn't understand yet meditation, so she sits with her hands and she does wishes. And she'll ring the bell and do wishes. So I'm like, so even children can really benefit from activities like this. So if you involve your children, that's even great. Yes?
Do you go around and keep it?
This one's not a singing bowl, but I do have one that the Tibetan singing bowls you would strike and then sound it around. I do use that for like if I'm doing more like chakra meditation, if I'm focusing like on the heart, if I'm the third eye. So I'll strike it and then I'll just go with the tune. It's also very meditative. I got one of those for an aunt because she also had a hypertension, and she would use it, strike it, and she would hold it right at her heart, and she could feel the peace just reverberating through her heart. Any other questions? Yes.
I got a question. I've asked this question to other people who have put on seminars
Uh-huh.
about meditation, and it's not that I'm looking for a certain answer. I'm looking for one that kind of makes sense to me. But I think when you sleep at night, I think you're meditating.
Mhm.
I think you I get 8, 6 hours, 7 hours of meditation. Sometimes I come up with an answer or a problem or whatever. Most of the time it's blase, but sometimes I come up with an answer to
Mm-hmm.
a problem. But I mean, I was wondering if you think when you're sleeping that's a form of meditation.
It definitely is. There are actually two parts of right when we're starting to sleep. Some people will do something that I was taught was called dream yoga. It's a way of like as you're falling asleep, you might do thoughts or prayers as you're going into sleep, which you actually take into the dream state. And the same can be said as there's a twilight moment where you're just about to wake up. You start to analyze, you start to actually come up with answers, and things come a lot clearer because you're not really thinking. This is actually your actual mind coming to an open state where it can actually work with itself. But sleep is, I mean, there is a teacher who always said sleep is the best meditation, especially when you're having a tough day. He would tell me, take a nap. Just lay down. Let the mind settle its thoughts. And I do this to this day. If I get super angry or really, really like annoyed for something, I'm like, just going to take a nap. And like you said, things just sort of open up on their own and you can see a lot more clearly because the analytical mind is kind of shut down. And the real you, your spirit, your mind really opens up and you can see, okay, I can see clear now. It's like that song, I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. So when the storm goes away, you can start to see more clearly what is going on inside. Does that help?
So I'm guessing what I was taught by other people, such as yourself, they tell me like you're more open to answers than questions.
Yes.
As I'm talking to you now, I got questions.
Yeah.
When you're sleeping, you really, you're defenseless, so you get information better.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what we try to meditate because we have that openness of mind. So meditation really just to be in harmony and start to see what is going on. Because sometimes when we're agitated, we don't see. We see what the ego wants or what I want. But when we're in that state, I can see that this is not beneficial or I'm hurting someone by doing this. So you're absolutely true. Yeah, in sleep, your that ego kind of goes to bed, and then the real you kind of awakens, and you start to see the reality. So that's definitely a meditation. Yeah. Yes. You have a question?
No, I was just going to say that I've used this example before, heard this in lectures. If you ever go to bed with a problem, something that's been bugging you all day, sometimes you'll wake up in the morning with the answer. The simple reason, you want to say the conscious, the subconscious, but your conscious mind, your ego, all that goes away.
Right.
And your subconscious mind takes over and said, all right, here's the problem, here's what we can do, and here's your answer for why you're sound asleep.
Well, that's that old saying, sleep on it. You heard that where people say, well, just sleep on it. When you're making a big decision, just sleep on it for a while, see what happens. And it's true. We shut down the thinking mind. A lot of things just come up. I mean, I've actually gotten a lot of my best answers to questions in that way, which is why I keep a journal. I know I mentioned journaling a lot. I have a dream journal and what I call my waking journal. So when I wake up, boom, things I just come up. I start to write. Some don't make sense, but as I think about it, I look and say, oh, okay, this is coming a lot more from a fresh perspective, a fresh mind versus me analyzing, anxiety, worry, doubt. But yeah, I think I'm up for time. Well, I'm just very thankful, and I just want to say thank you again for allowing me to be up here. Sorry, I was just going to get a little emotional because this for me is very special. Cassadaga is a very special place for me, and thinking about the history of all those that have come before. To be able to stand here and just to share a little bit of what I know is truly an honor for me. And thank you at home for watching. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you stay with us for our Sunday service at 10:30. So thank you.